So, welcome back to Podcast with Neil, the MANC ep7. And tonight we build up to a very, very crucial match just after the Boxing Day match against Leicester. It's Wolves again, and it has been a nemesis. The Wolves, Nuno's team, has been a nemesis to United. And with me in this pre match show, we have got three of the most enthusiastic United supporters I know. I'll just bring them on screen without much further ado and introduce them one by one. So, okay, to my right is Jibok Sahu is in Poland. He is the maestro of calmness personified. With me returning Shubham Bunk Sports and debuting on Netflix football is Ronit. He's from KEANE and he is one hell of a passionate guy. If I remember, I did a lot of podcasts with him when I was with another channel. But how's the coldness, folks? Because this is a very crunch match. Starting with Jibagda.
It's kind of interesting, right? I mean, all other results have gone in favor. If you look at our rivals, so to say, so good chance for us to close that gap on Liverpool to 2 points again. We can get clear of Leicester, so that's something. So yeah, hoping for a good result. Looking at the lineup, it's fairly attacking. There will be quite a few goals. I hope we score more than Wolves do. Let's see. It looks good.
Shubham, your thoughts on the lineup?
Well, I wasn't expecting Pogba to start, to be very honest, but I think when you look at the way Wolves play, I think they'll be forming a deep line, and that maybe Pogba can, to sort of do what he does. But at the same time, I'm very skeptical about how he defends. I mean, that is a big issue that we all know with Pogba. So fingers crossed, I guess.
So, okay, coming to Ronit. Ronit, I'll just take your advice on this because I was just speaking about this with you just in the pre-match that we were discussing. Let me just remove this banner so everyone can see us. Okay, Ronit. So this is from last season. If this is clear, I don't know if the picture is actually clear. Okay, this is from last season, right? United basically under Ole, their maximum strength has been in a 4-2-3-1. But more often than not, we can see them shifting in a position where you see there are two. If I may call it as an inverted catenaccio, I know it might sound very stupid or it might sound very intelligent based on how much football knowledge people have. But do you think that this is a recurrent trend that Ole's men have been doing in matches where they play a back four and it continues to this, Ronit?
Yeah, I mean, we have time and again seen that we tend to attack from the left. The reason being the lack of a proper attacker from the right, or whatever you call it. Therefore, you'll always also see. So we kind of tend to see that although we start with a back four, we tend to push men forward, and the CDM, whoever is playing, be it McTominay, Fred, or Matic, mostly Matic, I've seen him doing that, drops back with Maguire and with the Lindelof to form a back three while we have possession, and when we do not, we retreat when they're back to that shape again. And the problem that we have keep facing is, like I said, we keep attacking from the left, and if you see the picture over here also, you'll see an overload of men either centrally or towards the left. There are only two people whom I can see is on the right side. So therefore, you'll always, if you notice one thing now, Van Bissaka is not as effective as he used to be. Why do you think that happens? Because teams, they have recognized it, because we tend to overload on the left. Our right keeps on getting, there are less players, and because this we do not have a proper. We tend to play mostly Greenwood over there. So he comes
Right.
back and he's not that good at tracking back also. So Wan-Bissaka kind of falls alone, and the teams have now recognized it and they start attacking to the right, and that started with Brighton. This season, where Solimaj was having a field day, if I remember correctly, and it has continued, and it has been really worrying, to be very honest. So I feel Ole and the defensive coaches need to sit down and see what is happening right there. Even last match, if you see properly, it was our defensive lapses that costed us the Vardy goal. It should not happen. Yeah, it was an own goal. That's a different story. But three players, if I remember correctly, had to mark one guy. It was Jamie Vardy, and they could not. He was right standing there and in the middle of Axel Tuanzebe and it was Maguire, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, they need to sit down and work on our defenses, because I really feel I don't think we'll challenge for the title, to be very honest, but I think we have a good chance of closing the gap with the top guys and be up there if we can solidify our defense and play a more balanced football.
Okay, Abhinandan, thanks for joining in the stream. FIIOB guys will be knowing Abhinandan. So if Liverpool wins the titles this season, how sad will you be? Jibakta, how sad will you be?
I mean, I'm numb at this point of time. Liverpool have been winning titles left, right, and center. And to be honest, this season they are still expected to win the title. Man City was expected to be the second, like being the closest contender to them. The big news for us is we seem to be taking, like, fingers crossed, we hopefully will take that position from them. So it's only good news for us. I mean, we can't even think about Liverpool right now. They're eons away from us right now.
So okay, I'll just go back to the more tactical side of things. Coming to Shubham, we heard Ronit say that United have been overloading on the left and somehow been exposed on the right. We have seen this time and again with the Leipzig match, even against PSG at times, where most of the attacking noise from the opposition team. I'm getting nervous. Most of the attacking from the opposition team come through their left, which means we have been exposed on the right. So if you remember the Arsenal match, I'll just highlight it on screen here. Okay, it's not okay. This is the situation where Kieran Tierney, he is a left, he plays on the left of a three, where probably Bukayo Saka plays on the left wing back role, but he has overlapped. And see the number, see the actually, if you play the numbers game, see how United are outnumbered when the transition is through the left, mostly through the left. Shubham, what do you think about this?
Okay, so coming on our right, when we attack, how do you expect to create goals from that side when you have Aaron Wan-Bissaka who cannot cross for the life of me, and then you have forwards like Dan James, and then Greenwood, his style of play, he likes to cut inside. So our right side is sort of redundant, and even on the left, we don't really create much from the left. You always have Rashford cutting in and then going in on the goal. So if you talk about our flanks from an attacking point of view, we hardly create anything. Everything goes through the middle. And when you talk about attacking from the middle, building up from the middle, it's because Rashford plays there and Rashford carries the ball beautifully. He can take on his man, he can cut inside, he can somehow play that odd pass. You also have Luke Shaw and Telles there who can do that work. On our right side, Wan-Bissaka cannot do that. Last match you had Lindelof. Oh my god, Lindelof to try back that. I mean, that was the worst thing that I could have seen. Even Tuanzebe is not very good at that, and our wingers, I think apart from Mata, I have not seen anyone who's playing on the right and actually creating something. So
Do you think
that,
Mata misses
I
out
don't
today?
know
Mata
now.
should have been playing
When
today.
I'm
Do you
talking
think?
about it, maybe. I mean, I would have expected even someone like a Dan James because, as you were saying, oh, Greenwood doesn't track back, and Wolves are a very dangerous team on the counter. You need someone to track back and you know add that sort of defensive duty to the game, and I do not expect Greenwood to do that. So I'm expecting a tough game.
Again, a tough game it will be. So coming back to Jibogda, I just had a slide that I shared with you. I'm just bringing it up on screen in a bit. Like as Shubham rightly pointed out that United play a lot through the middle. So considering that United play a back five or a back three, whatever you may call it. So this is the situation that we had against Paris. Okay. So the midfield congestion that we have is evident. Like so much of the game is run out through the middle. Even the Leipzig match, Jibogda, I remember that United being cut open more than once again on our right hand side. And this is actually a frustrating thing, and this is very recurrent. Are United too weak playing a back three, Jibogda?
So this is interesting, right? I mean, when you play from a formation like this, essentially what you're doing is you're overloading the midfield. So any team that's playing two midfielders against you are going to be in big trouble because you always have not one but two or three extra men, considering our wide players like to cut in. So if you can execute that to perfection, that's an advantage for you. The problem there is you have two wing backs who are completely exposed, who really need support from the midfielders, which they generally don't get. We have seen goals being conceded because Pogba couldn't track back and get a man who was making a round down wide. And to be honest, that's a problem because when you have players who like to cut in, you're always exposed out wide, and that's exactly literally what ends up happening. You can dominate the midfield, but opponents will attack on you like out wide, and you're gonna like have to pay the price if you don't absolutely dominate your box, and that's what has happened a couple of times.
And like this has been too much recurrent. If I may, I'll go to Ronit on the same note, same context. Like you see this pentagon over here, Ronit. You see that United try to block the central spaces, but that amount of athleticism and the amount of that guile that a team needs, like for against Leipzig, the likes of Matic and Fred probably was playing were too much outnumbered. Even in the central position, they were too much outnumbered. Ronit, do you think that this might be a similar recurrence against Wolves, who also like to play with a back three and with overloads on the sides?
Yeah, like I was telling you, see, I thought if Pogba and Matic played together, we'll be run over in the counters, and I still think that they are playing together, and I think that will happen because Pogba and Matic, they don't seem to be a good combination, although they are on paper, but they do not because Matic is on not on the right side of his 30s, and Pogba doesn't track back. I mean, he's not defensively as sound as you would want. So a more tenacious midfielder in Fred would have maybe made the job easier, and Wolves will play through the middle. I mean, they can attack through the wings, of course they can. But even if you look at the midfield, Ruben Neves, I haven't seen the lineup, so I don't know who starts. But Ruben Neves, Moutinho, they can completely nullify Pogba. One can definitely nullify Pogba, and Matic, I don't think he does something too much. I mean, he does transition play well, but in terms of creativity, I don't think that will happen. And there's Bruno as well. I think what Ole was trying to do is if either of Moutinho or Ruben Neves tries to mark Bruno, Pogba is free and Pogba can create for United from the deep at least. I think that was the thinking going into the game. It can definitely work because Wolves tend to be more of a defensive outlet and they tend to hit you on the break. So Van Bissaka being back is a good positive news for us. Kelly's, I don't know. I think I would have played Shaw, but maybe Shaw is not 100% fit. He never is. So
He's just a
yeah,
burger away from disaster, isn't he?
I mean, I don't know whether it's burgers or whatever, but he's never quite fit. I mean, when he's fit, he's good. So that's the thing because these are the sort of matches when you want a defensive player. I mean, yeah, I understand why you want an attacker to attack Bulls who tend to sit deep, but if you are wary of the counter attack, especially with Matic, I think. But yeah, but I think we can still win this game. It's not that we cannot, but we have to be clinical. We cannot waste chances like Rashford did last day because I don't think we'll create as much against a team that is as solid as Wolves are. So clinical is the word that Ole needs to put in the minds of the strikers today.
Like, right. And those of you watching right now, if you're tuning in for the first time, a like would be amazing. A subscribe would be heavenly. I've got a target of 300 before 31st of December, before the new year starts, and we end this audit 2020. So make sure you get me to 300, and I'll make it worth your while. Not no sympathies. So okay, just run it before we actually relieve you because I know you've been on a short span of time. Okay, some Raghav Kumar roll number 92, some meme probably from Whitehead Junior. So Pedro Neto is gonna run riot against the wingbacks. Just one last question, very shortly, if you just highlight this, like Pedro Neto has been on very good form. Even Daniel Podence. What do you think of it? The matchup.
Yeah, they are too quick. two quick players who can run right, as Raghav pointed out rightly. But I think when I'm not sure where Pedro Neto is playing or what their formation is, because like I said, I haven't seen Wolves line up today. But wherever
They're
he
doing a
plays, if he
3-4-3. Neto is up as centre forward. Potench is
center
not
forward,
starting, by the way. Yeah.
so
Vitina on the
who are
left.
they playing? They're playing Fabio
Vitina on
Silva,
the left, Adama on the right. They're going a 3-4-3.
Adama on the right. So Telly is, I think, oh God,
They want to attack our left.
God, if Adama is playing against Telly's, God bless us. And who plays against? Oh, this Harry Maguire, oh, the fastest player United have. So yeah, good. So Telly's and Maguire against Traore, I fancy my chances there.
Well,
Uh,
coming in here, I mean, I just want to point out, to be fair to Tellis, I think Brandon Williams did quite a job against Traore last season, so I'm not very afraid of, uh,
But
uh,
Brandon, but Brandon
our
is
bodybuilder.
quick. I mean, Brandon is quick, and I think Tellis is quick as well. But Brandon still does his defensive share of work. If you see Tellis' average positioning, I mean, he's really not known for his defensive work, is he?
That's
Brandon,
true.
yeah, maybe you can say he can run up and down the channel a lot more quicker than Tellis. I mean, Brandon, what would he do? You won't see him down the wings and put across. He'll just cut inside. He will more play like an inverted wing back, right? So
Right.
inside wing back. So
Also, I don't think I'll be playing wing backs. I think it's flat back four. I
no, no,
mean,
no. I'm just
Maguire,
saying. So that's
Bailly.
what Brandon used to
Yeah,
do. So I'd rather have Brandon against Adama Traore and ask him just stay on his heels, keep along. I don't think Tellis will do that. Tellis will look to
Go
attack,
for
and
the
that's what he does. Yeah, yeah,
instinct.
yeah. So that is a bit concerning. I'd rather be more, but then again, Traore can be dealt with. He's a speed merchant. I really don't rate him that highly. Although
exactly.
I'm a
I don't
Spain
think
fan
he's
myself.
created anything. He hasn't contributed
Yeah,
anything for the past
I am a
year
Spain
or
fan myself,
so.
and I don't rate him that. He's a speed merchant. If you just stay on his heels, I think you can deal with him. Uh, Somehow this Wolves forward line without Jimenez doesn't instill too much confidence in me. But then again,
Our
mm,
back line
you
is
know,
something to consider.
yeah, I mean that doesn't either. So it's rather we just be there. I mean, I if we play too much of a high line, I think we are in for a long, long night.
Let's see. For talking of a long night, thank you, Ronit, for joining in. It's been a pleasure having
Pleasure.
you.
Yeah.
Next time with more time. Okay?
Sure, 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 sure.
Chalo.
See you guys.
Chalo. Chalo.
Welcome
Bye
to
for,
United.
bye
Bye.
for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Ronit. And yeah, Shubham, I'm coming back to you with another new topic. Like we discussed how devastating Wolves might be with their counter attack, but again, Jimenez out, it's a long thing to ponder. So if we just go for and talking about injuries, this guy has not been blessed with one. And touch wood, where is wood? I got wood, not Woodward, but wood. But how amazing has been this guy, Shubham?
I'm lost for words when you talk about Bruno. I don't think we've had an influential signing like him since Eric Cantona. And I was just talking to a Liverpool fan a few days back, and he's scared to death. I mean, everyone knows the things he
You
can
don't
do,
hear that very
and
often, do you? Nowadays.
exactly. I mean, I can't remember the last time a United player had instilled so much of fear in a opposition's mind. I mean, Bruno is one player who can create even on his bad day. I think he'll come out with a goal and an assist, and long may it continue. And I think someone's commented Fabio Silva at centre forward. Okay, so
Yeah.
when you talk about Fabio Silva here, I had the pleasure of talking to him when he joined Wolves, and I think he's a
Wow.
brilliant guy, and I am a big admirer of him. But at the same time, when you look at our back line, I think Bai might just have his number tonight. I have a gut feeling. And coming back to Bruno, I don't think there has been a better signing. Not just United, I think any club. No one has made a signing like Bruno. I think you can compare him to Van Dijk at Liverpool and maybe
Mhm.
Salah. The
Mhm.
impact and just the sheer stature he's brought to the club. Bruno is the best, no doubt.
Like we talk
Best in the world.
about, we often miss out on, I often miss out on adjectives and superlatives on describing him, the impact he has had. 28 matches it has taken him to break the most goal contribution record in the Premier League, previously held by Frank Lampard. And even the Kevin De Bruyne's, the the other the Premier League has had a lot of playmakers, and even them could not rack up what Bruno did. Deepak, how impressed are you? We know that how it is Bruno FC. This is not Manchester United. This is not Martial FC anymore. This is Bruno FC. Solskjaer's go-to man at this point of time. The numbers speak for themselves, but how have you been impressed in how he has brought United back to life? Because without him, before Andres Pereira and Jesse Lingard were starting, like we saw in the previous screen grab, I like brought on. I don't know why, but he has been a breath of a lot of fresh air, hasn't he?
Two things, right? One is Bruno Fernandes is a player that really like makes a lot of United fans who had genuinely lost interest in the way we play come back and watch our matches again. So in that sense, when I was young, one of the prime reasons that I wanted to tune in and watch every match, when I say I was young, it was around when I was 15, 16,
You're
was
still
when
young.
Wayne
Don't
Rooney
worry, you're
was
still young.
on the ascent. I mean, yeah, I'm old, fairly old. But yeah, so the point that I'm trying to make is Bruno is kind of that kind of a player. He's like Wayne Rooney. He gives so much of himself on the pitch that you really want to back this guy. It's not about the results. It's not about the goals and the assists and everything. I mean, they are there, they help. But just the performance and the shift that this guy puts in, he's like a talisman. He lifts everybody around him. He's a very good player. He makes people around him better. That's point number one. Point number two is, and this is purely my opinion. At the same time, we have to recognize the fact that Rashford and Martial and Greenwood have been playing very well. And when I mention Martial and Greenwood, I'm talking about the last 1 year, not just this season. So Bruno is a fantastic differentiator, no doubt. But if everybody else around him didn't perform, I don't think we would have been where we are. So, like I said, he lifts those players, but we have to give credit to those players as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we often talk about how we have not replaced Lukaku and it was a big mistake. But I think moving on Lukaku was good for both parties because he has been hammered by the English press and the fans who are claiming right now that we miss Lukaku. But at the same time, the likes of Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood have come up with the numbers. But keeping on with this topic about Bruno Magnifico, let's just talk about the brilliant assist he did against Leicester. Like Shubham, this is the start of the move. Okay, this is the throw in. If I just zoom it on in here, Lindelof takes the throw in. Martial is over here, and you see Bruno is making a run towards the center circle, towards the penalty spot. But again, instantly he realizes that Dan James is coming in. See how his position has changed instantly. See how he anticipates and he makes that pass without Bruno being here. Bruno was actually here, and without being him, and he was coming here, he made that angle, or else Daniels would have had to pass to Luke Shaw. That was the only option available. And instantly, with that pass, he has bloody eyes on the back of his head, back of his bums, and everywhere. Like, who else would have seen two defenders coming to close him and make that run? And Rashford did a simple finish. But if I go back to over here, Shubham, where the throw in was taken, how amazing has been his peripheral vision, Shubham?
Exactly. Yeah, coming back to that point, I think the IQ that this guy possesses is beyond belief. We talk about De Bruyne's and we talk about the big match players, and I don't think there's
Okay,
anyone
just a
at
moment.
this
Ashish
stage.
says
Yeah,
that was a lucky assist. Ashish, thanks for joining in. A subscribe would be amazing. Was that a lucky assist, Shubham?
I don't think so. I mean, if you really reflect on that, I think he has a point. But when you look at his position, when you're talking about positions, when he actually touches the ball, what else do you think he was doing? He was looking
Hmm.
for Rashford. He wasn't shooting for that position, and he wasn't defending the thing. He's attacking the ball. So what else can you say? I mean, he had nothing else on mind. He just wanted to feed the ball to Rashford because
Right.
the way he just guides the ball in his path. I don't think anything else could have been done with the ball. So I don't think that's a lucky assist, but at the same time, I think he got slightly lucky because the ball went perfectly onto Rashford's foot, who blasted it. So yes, a bit of luck, but I don't. I think that was intentional.
I mean, Bruno did the best that he could, right? I mean, after that, if you're saying that the rest of it is luck, yeah, probably 30%, but the rest 70 is pure effort, right?
Exactly. I mean, the way he just guides the ball. I don't think so. Even De Bruyne could have done that.
And it's not just
taking
about the
nothing
last
away
move;
from
it's
De
about the
Bruyne.
movement that we were just talking about. Just
Right.
tracking how the play was going on, changing his position, being in the position where he's in a position to make that assist. It's not luck. This is not luck.
Exactly.
This is sheer
That
brilliance.
points to his IQ. That points to his IQ. That I mean, how and exactly you were talking about how Rashford, Greenwood, and Martial responded, and how we are not Bruno SC, we are Man United. I think that change in their game has been brought forward by Bruno's presence. His
Totally.
IQ, the way he commands, the way he directs traffic, the way he has actually lifted those players, not just not just in their game, but the mental side of the game as well. And even you can see in this assist, his movement. I think his movement has actually given a signal for Rashford to make a step ahead. I think every time the ball goes to Bruno, one of our forwards are actually expecting that something might happen. The ball may just land in their feet. Even if you're looking at Martial is making a run here. Bruno, and I mean, if I was a forward, I would be over the moons. I mean, if I had Bruno playing behind me, because I would expect a
What
ball coming at my
just want to
feet
cut
with
you off on one
precision
bit.
at every moment.
Like, you expect Martial to get the ball. Bruno is facing that way. Even if he makes the
Exactly.
channel, if it you expect that ball to be slotted into here. But no one would expect that he would twist his body. Even looking here, Martial is expecting the ball to come to him. But credit to Rashford that he anticipated that Bruno might just make that pass. And whoever says it's a lucky assist might be because two defenders at the same time shouldn't have come charging and left the man because they thought that that might just swizzle. But Bruno, even though he is facing that way, even in this, he does not know where Rashford exactly is. But his peripheral vision to perfectly time that ball, and Rashford did what he does best, isn't it, Jivagda?
It is right, and I mean, it's one part is peripheral vision. You have to think about how many times they have tried this out in the training ground as well. Probably not in this way. Probably not him stretching and getting a lucky assist, but they would have tried these movements like 1,000 times over. It's so Bruno would know that there would be somebody behind him where he can play the ball on. If the man in front of him, that is Martial, is being marked by one and there's another guy blocking the shot. So it's super hard work. Talking about the runs that you make, right, when you have a playmaker like that. Think of Henry. Think of what he could have done with somebody like Bruno playing behind him. This is like Rashford is making those runs because he knows he's going to get those balls, right? And that was not the
Exactly.
case like last season. So that's one part of it. Another question that I have is why was Bruno in the Portuguese league for so long? Like till the time he was 26. What the hell?
Because
He was waiting
Ed
for Oli.
Woodward wanted us to watch
No, no.
their
He was
space.
just waiting for Oli. He was waiting for Oli to come up, and
So I'm
I
really
think they
glad
just
Mourinho
waited.
passed him on and said that Lo Celso is better for him. I'm really, really glad.
Actually, Bruno came with a hefty price tag. Like in the summer, I remember why we didn't take him is because they wanted around 80 million for him. But
So
Sport
we spent an
United
80
decided
million on Maguire.
We paid 80 for Maguire. Exactly the point. I think Bruno at 47 is a steal.
Is it insane
Easily
transfer?
above
I
100
don't think there's
million.
been a better transfer in the last 2 years. Maybe the last good better transfer was Van Dijk. I can't remember anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
even just before Shubham has actually some commitment, just before he leaves, I just want to ask him one thing and clarify that Paul Scholes has been raving about how Bruno Fernandes is actually better than him, has much more vision, and we know the amount of insane goals and assists Paul Scholes have come up with. He's my idol, playing as a deep lying midfielder. When during my playing days, Paul Scholes was my idol, and those crossfield passes and that guy, that legend of a guy coming in and saying that Bruno is better to him, how much pride are you feel that we actually are the ones to inherit Bruno? And we have
As I,
spoken much about Bruno. Like, yeah, go on. I'm running out of words, man.
I'm sorry. I mean, as I said, I'm over the moons with Bruno, but I still think for me, Paul Scholes is one of the greatest midfielders of all time. And I still think for the amount of time which he played for the club and for you know, the consistency he's shown over the years, I still value Scholes over Bruno. But yes, I mean, those are big words coming from a big man himself. So I think we're the lucky ones.
Right. Just Real Madrid fans, don't watch this because don't take too much information. Okay. Thanks, Shubham, for joining in. Shubham is on Bunk Sports. You can follow their Instagram. I'll just leave the link in the descriptions. And it's been fun having you back again. Let's hope to
Thank you,
have you
Neil.
for a bit more time again very soon, because I'll be trying to do every pre-match podcast as possible. Okay, Shubham,
Exactly,
thanks for
and
your time.
I love being here, Neil. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure, man, pleasure. So thank
Thank
you,
you.
Shubham. Do like and subscribe who are watching new, and bring me to 300. So with that, Shubham, bye bye for now. Chalo. Shubham is gone. It's me and Jibagda till the end. Okay, no dark humors over here. Because the beginning is the end or the bend is the beginning. Okay, Jibagda, if I like, I know how raved you are about Bruno and stuff, but we were having this discussion about Maguire. He's the club captain. He has come in for a hefty price tag. He has had his bit of mistakes and bit of brilliance as well. Like, United conceded just 36 goals in 38 matches last season,
Yep.
although this season is a bit higher because probably all other teams have strengthened, and this Premier League season, this entire year has been a joke due to COVID, fixture congestion and stuff, and yet Maguire been going to jail and coming back.
Yep.
So do you still rate him as a top United centre half, probably 5 years down the line in the future?
See, a lot of things can happen in the next 5 years. He can completely revamp himself, and he can become super positionally aware that nobody can get past him. As of this moment, I don't see that the evidences of that. He is a leader in the dressing room. I have seen him be a leader on the pitch, um, but he's one of the weaker ones that I have seen in my time following United performance-wise. I can't speak of his contribution in the dressing room. Performance-wise, he has had very good games, and then he has had awful games, and then he has had games where he's literally cost us games and therefore goals and therefore points. So he's very good aerially, right? There is no doubt about that. At the same time, his positional sense can be questioned. At the same time, his defensive partnership with Lindelof can be questioned. So there are scopes of improvement, and he's not quite there in terms of inspiring confidence for a United supporter who has seen a Rio Ferdinand and a Vidic and a Steve Bruce, even Pallister play, right. So he has a lot of work to do to get there. He
Right.
does retain the confidence of Solskjaer. That's a good thing. And he has that armband, so he has all the backing in the world. He just has to go and do it.
Like, there's this ongoing debate, like I have told this in numerous podcasts as well, that Maguire and Lindelof don't go together well as a pair, because mainly if I say that both Maguire and Lindelof are build up kind of a CB's ball playing defenders, and whenever Maguire or Lindelof has been partnered with a Bailly or an Axel Tuanzebe, or maybe potentially Dayot Upamecano or even Rafael Varane. The names are huge and the links are coming in. It's almost done for the season, but we'll go to that later. But suddenly, if he has an influx of pace and someone like probably a mature Axel Tuanzebe who can as well bring the ball out, and Maguire can go back to his shielding days as that, not the one who brings the ball out, maybe breaks the press, but coming back to his original positioning, that where he played at Leicester and played so well with England. Do you think that maybe the combination is, I understand where the frustration is. Bai is normally not fit because either otherwise he would have started. Tuanzebe is not ready at that much. We saw he's dominant, but he has that Joe Gomez about him, like he's error prone. Maybe if we get an Upamecano, do you think we'll see the best of Maguire?
See, I think we need to sort out a couple of things within the training page first. First of all, I don't think at this point we have a clear division of who's the stopper and who's the covering player.
Right.
Like both of these two, whoever is playing for us, trying to do a bit of both. And Maguire, to me, is a better stopper than he's a ball playing player. To be very honest, he can lead the line. He can be the presence in the box. He is very good aerially. He can dominate another forward who is trying to get a header in, but he's not a very good ball playing player. So to your point, if we get somebody like a Varane, which I think is very doubtful, who's super pacey, who's super intelligent, who can organize the line, because Maguire doesn't seem to be able to do that at the moment. Maguire can be a very good deputy to that person. But we need a super intelligent person who's going to be able to lead the line that already consists the team club's captain. So that's going to be a difficult job. So that I think is missing. So if we can influx that kind of quality, then maybe Maguire will have a better shot at it.
Speaking of Maguire, he cost 80 million, but it won't cost you a penny to drop a subscribe on my channel. 300 is the target with 31st of December. Let's start the new year with 301. That's my target. So subscribe and like and do share with your friends. There's other rant videos as well. So do check that out if you're local, or even if you aren't local, learn Bengali, or else we'll black out the train stations or something like that. We're that mad. So going back to that only topic, suppose we get in a Dayot Upamecano in summer. Suppose, not suppose, Phil Jones has probably had his career, and whatever career it has been. Sarcasm aside, if you think that probably we have seen Dayot Upamecano how well he goes into the midfield, like how well he carries the ball and exactly plays the right hand side of defense, where probably Maguire is better out on the left because of his channel balls and his, because we see most inverted wingers and he's very comfortable drifting them out to the left or right. He's comfortable at the left center back spot. And now someone like a Varane is risky, and not risky, is very doubtful, but anyone would have to love him. Suppose that Upamecano comes in, links that play, and you have probably Scott McTominay or Fred and a better midfielder. We all know that Pogba is going and United will replace him. United are not that stupid. Suddenly this team looks entirely different, doesn't it?
I think there is one other missing piece of puzzle, maybe one and a half other missing pieces of puzzle. I'm not confident that a Fred or a McTominay will be a very long-term solution in defensive midfield. You and I have spoken about getting an NDD or somebody like that who really can be the shield in front of the defense. And against a Barcelona or a PSG, if we want to, or even Liverpool, right? I don't think we can successfully mitigate the opposition's attacking threat with the players that we have in that position. That is one. Second thing we need to sort out Wan-Bissaka. If he needs competition to up his game in terms of either both going up and being defensively solid, his tackling wise very solid. We still have problems when we expected to have problems the way we play when you have an opposition winger and a fullback breaking on him. So those are two concern areas that we need to solve.
The competition is directly playing for AC Milan, and he's been bossing. He's been playing left back primarily. Once probably Calabria was subbed off and he went on the right side. And I don't understand, if you're planning to take on Diego Dalot, wasn't this the season that he would have, that rotation was most important? Like we got Telles to rotate Shaw with, but there's no one to rotate Wan-Bissaka. However brilliant or however good and flashy your Brandon Williams will be, but I still think he's on the category IQ of Dan James. He just needs one jiggle to, and the defender and the opposition is past him like anything. He's like, he goes on sliding in like anything, like it's snow on the pitch. But that's very risky if you are a defender playing, and where attacks often occur through the wings. So why not? What's the reason behind this? I'm just not getting the logic. Like, why send Diego Dalot on loan and keep back Fosu Mensah and Brandon Williams at the club and not getting games?
This is a theme we have seen with Solskjaer, right? He doesn't trust a lot of his players, especially the players that he has on the bench. He over relies on his first team, which is great as long as they are not burnt out and they are producing the goods. But in a season as long and taxing as this one specifically, it would have helped a lot for us to have retained Dalot and would have played him. But again, like I said, Solskjaer didn't trust him. He probably saw Williams as a filler, and it doesn't look like he retains that trust anymore, because I don't see Williams playing a lot like that. So it's a bit of a surprise, right? I mean, we really don't have a player who's an out and out right back except Wan-Bissaka at the moment. Williams, yes, sure, but I mean, whatever football he's played for the first team, he's mainly played on the left. So we don't know if he's ready for the first team right back position for Man United, right? We never really saw him play there much. So it's a bit of a conundrum. At the same time, it is what it is. Hopefully, he will have more faith in Dalot going forward because he has a good season in Italy. At the same time, there are plenty of players who have a very good season in Italy and then fizzle out when they come back to England. So we'll have to see how it goes with Dalot. But it really would have helped Wan-Bissaka to have a deputy to really push him for minutes.
Like when I thought Dalot was actually sent out on loan, that might be the emergence of Ethan Laird. The
Mhm.
right back was swashbuckling on his under 23s, and he's still a prominent figure in that lineup. He was promoted at the back end of last season for the
Yeah.
Europa League matches. Your Mengi was there, Laird was there. Recently, Shotar, the likes of Shotar, has been as well training with the first team. So, like, is this a because we know how Solskjaer loves to promote youth. He has been the youth coach before and brought on the likes of Pogba and Lingard. Isn't it surprising seeing that an attacking fullback? We are going in for Lucas Vasquez probably on loan at the January market if the rumors are to be believed. But why not promote Ethan Laird? He hasn't he been decent enough for the kid for the under 23s
I mean,
to at least take a claim on the bench?
see, another observation that I've had is whenever you're promoting a kid from the academy, the first two games that they play, they really play with passion. And
Hmm.
then they get normalized into the normal ragtag life of a Man United player. But the first two games are incredible. So even from that perspective, if Laird was brought up, or you mentioned Mengi, if those players were promoted and given their chance, it would have actually helped ease the workload on Wan Bissaka. Even if that doesn't give him the impression that his position is under threat, it would have at least given him some rest. I don't see that happening. He's out now because he's injured. I mean, this is what it had to come to for him to get some rest.
Like we have seen Lindelof, Tuanzebe, times Bai playing out wide in that
Yeah.
right back
And
berth.
before
But
Leeds, we were talking about Dan James playing right wing back, right?
yeah, but that's not going to happen, and thank God it
Yeah,
didn't
hopefully,
happen. Like Dan
hopefully.
James,
Yeah,
like people abused me to be stupid in school now. When United and when Dan James started being Dan James and Williams came onto the scene, I abused them back. Like if I were to consider you from the level of Dan James to level of IQ from Dan James to Brandon Williams, you'd be dead center, and that's some insult. No hate speech, just banter over here. And talking about banter, much more rants if you want to see. Just head over to the playlist, Pati Bangla Bhasha. Locals would be amazing, and a like and a subscribe would be awesome. Target is 300 before 31st of December. Make this local boy happy. Support this local guy, and that's ज्यादा नहीं बोलने का support करने का बस. That's the
dude, how
power
much
of being
time
a
do you
local.
spend on writing one of your rant episodes? By the way, they're like 7 or 8 minutes, but do you spend like more than 8 hours writing those?
No, I don't write the rants. Like, if I have been a writer, I have loved writing. Writing has been a passion for me for a long time. Like, and I always consider this sayings. I have made this own saying in Bengali. Like, লেখাটা হচ্ছে হাগুর মতন পেতে হবে.
I agree, quite agree.
So the rants that I do is actually comes out on the flow. I don't write any scripts because I'm very weak memorizing things. Even though I have a good memory, but whenever I like try to memorize things, I cannot. That's the problem with me. So I let it flow, and then the editing part is fun. It's time consuming. It's very much like a video of 8 minutes takes around 6 to 8 hours to completely edit
Yeah.
and polish, and that's hard work, but that's honest work. So that if you want to support this, do leave a like and a subscribe. Support the local guys. Come on, pandemic, lot of jobs have gone. I don't care. Started this YouTube channel, wanted to do something for football, and this is what I'm doing. I come. There's a video every day. There's a video every day. Either a podcast or a game stream or a rant. You'll find it. So okay, it's almost 15 minutes to kick off, and it's the most important part of our segment where we discuss predictions. Prediction time, Jivakda. What do you think will ensue in today?
There will be goals that I can say without hesitation. And don't butcher me if it turns out to be a nil-nil draw, because a lot of games this week has been draws. But seriously, I mean, looking at the lineups, there will be goals. So my mindset is going to be something like 2-2. I hope we can get a third, sneak it out. Our home form has been patchy, but we are getting there. So hopefully a 3-2 for us.
But you know the Wolves, that last game that they played was against Tottenham, right? And
Yeah,
they went all out. They went all out to get that 1-1 draw, and they were amazing. Pedro Neto
yeah,
and Daniel Podence were amazing. And even though the likes of Wolves, you cannot compare them to Man United with the bench strength that we do have. And these are the kind of matches that actually make them shine. Okay, Shubham Bakshi has come in with a prediction. Hi, Shubham, welcome to the channel. Oh no, you are already in the channel. Welcome to the stream. United 2-1 Wolves. Is this a fair scoreline considering the fixture congestion, as well as like United are better equipped? Like Pogba had a rest, Cavani had a rest. Do you think this is much more in United's game, or might again actually depends? Like if I say that Matic and Pogba are United's midfield against a ragged Wolves team, you don't know where this is going, do you?
So look, at this point in time, the best result that I can hope for is a 1-0 win. We'll win and we keep a clean sheet. That's absolutely priceless. And I like 2-1 better than 3-2 because that means we're conceding less goals. I'd be very happy to see this, but somehow I don't have the confidence in our defense at the moment and the team that we have put out today.
Like it should be that who plays more bad, because that fixture congestion will definitely take its toll. 100%, 100%. Not really. Schedule is definitely hectic, man.
Yeah,
Come on, this is Christmas period. Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson would have been like frozen to death, wouldn't he, Jibokda, in this fixture time?
I agree. This is the toughest time every year. At the same time, if you look at this specific fixture, we've had what 28 hours of extra rest compared to Wolves. Ole has spoken about that in the pre-match press conference. So we will be fresher. We have more rotated players in the side compared to them. Uh, yeah, Potence is not even starting, so he will probably be brought on later to tire out, or rather to take on the tired legs of our fullbacks after Adama is done with Teles
Actually,
or whatever.
both our fullbacks are fresh if you look at it. Wan Bissaka
I agree.
had a week off, Teles had a week off.
At the same time, Teles will be chasing Adama's shadows, right, for a lot of the game. So I expect him to tire. Let's see. It's going to be difficult, and Wolves will be playing out wide rather than through the middle because they simply have two midfielders who are probably going to be focusing on like mitigating Bruno and Pogba, right? It's not going to be a lot of playmaking from their side through there. It's going to be like they will be coming at us from wide out. Let's see how it goes, but I do think we will concede. I will be delighted if we don't.
Okay, just before we finish and just before that we wrap up this show, Jibogda, I would just like to ask you that will will this be a repeat of the Sheffield match? Like Sheffield and Wolves are pretty similar with their pressing tactics and probably 10 levels above Sheffield, but the patterns of play is quite similar. And the team that we have lined up today is also quite similar. We can
Yeah.
see them losing few balls here and there. Unite because Pogba and Matic are not the greatest. Like Bruno, even the bloody referee ran faster than Pogba chasing the ball in that Everton match. Like I know Pogba is creative and all, his head's completely elsewhere. And but there's a but. Since the transfer window is coming on and a potential audition in the grandest of stage of and under the lights at Old Trafford, do you think we just might get to see the best of Paul Pogba in the remaining 6 months that he has at the club?
I actually think he's played pretty well in the last 1 month, to be honest. I don't remember a very bad performance. He was lazy in the instance that you talked about. And he being not the most defense minded player that was always there. Even for Juventus, I don't remember him putting solid defensive shifts. They used to have a three-man midfield where either a Marchisio or Vidal or somebody else would do put in the hard defensive shifts. Even for France, there's Kante or somebody else putting in those tackles and stuff like that, right? So he's not going to be the person who's going to be minding his defensive duties all the time. At the same time, if I look at his performance in the last month, I don't remember him turning very bad performances. There will always be people who talk about the number of times that he gives the ball away. Bruno gives the ball away as well, and that's because he tries a lot of risky passes. Bruno, in fact, cost us a goal in the last game, giving away a ball like that. So, I mean, with creative players, the chance that risk will always be there. Except that I think he's really upped his game. Whether or not to audition for a Real Madrid to come and pick him up, I don't know. But I've been reasonably satisfied with Pogba's performance in the last 1 month. Hopefully, he keeps it up. It's going to be only beneficial for us, regardless whether he leaves in the summer or not.
Definitely, definitely. And the Pogba story has ran its course, and it's time we put a curtains to that. And
I
speaking
agree.
of curtains, speaking of curtains, this is where we leave off the show. Thank you, Jibogda, for your amazing commentary on how difficult it might be right off from Poland. And I think you don't need to see any Germans very soon.
Eventually, I'll have to.
Banter aside, no hate speech. No hate speech. Don't ban. Don't come and report on my
Yeah,
channel.
don't. I'll be in trouble.
Like, oh. Okay. So 8 minutes to kick off. We'll leave Jivagda for the bit. And thank you, Jivagda, again. Hope to see you very soon. So
This has
it's
been
bye for
lovely, man.
now.
Thank you.
It's love.
Let's
It's
enjoy the
more
game.
lovely and happy.
Yeah. Bye.
Keep smiling. Chalo. Bye bye for now. Okay, that was pretty much about it. A tough fixture against Wolves. Again, who are just joining in, this is the lineup. De Gea starts, by Maguire, Wan-Bissaka is back, Alex Telles, Pogba, Matic midfield, a attacking trio of Rashford, Cavani, and Greenwood. Martial is on the bench, and I think this is sufficient enough to blow over a Wolves side devoid of Raul Jimenez. Tough match. I'm tensed. So let's see what happens. And meanwhile, if you love this show, do like and subscribe. I've been doing this at it for almost a month, and I'm just near to the 300 subscribers mark. And I hope you guys help me get through it. It's 31st of December. The target is 300. Do like and subscribe. Do share it with your friends. A new rant video will be coming up very, very soon. And that's pretty much about it. This is Podcast with Neil. This is Netflix Football. This is the MANC episode 7. Done and dusted. Let's have a good game. Bye for now.